This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, and I will share my screen. If I can just get confirmation that someone can see the screen being good. Please turn your mic on to answer.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, awesome. So we're going to get started today with safety first in Thailand, very Thailand specific orientated. Everybody knows that going to a foreign country is a little bit daunting, and it is generally the same safety rules as every other country in the world, but each one has their own little niche and own little things to go through. So we're going to head through that today. Although Thailand will begin to feel like home for everybody who's just come here or just gotten to your placement, it's just important to always be careful, as you would everywhere, and always keep your wits about yourself. Even though things start to feel familiar, you get to know your local area, you get to know what's open, what's not, some of the local people around. Just always be super careful. So it is a land of smiles, but we can't entirely drop our guard altogether, even though it is accomplishing to start to feel familiar with your area. Very recently, Thailand became top 5 most comfortably safe destinations for tourists, particularly from the US and Canada. This graph was taken from, but it is generally a really safe country. But once again, you should never let your guard down. Things do happen here. We are going to go over some of the main precautions you should be careful of, such as, of course, road safety. Just touch on it. I know that you've already done a course for road safety here, and I'm sure you see things every day, but also going out at night and just general awareness and transport safety as well. So you should always take precautions when you're out and about in Thailand. Only use licensed public transport and taxis when out in the evening. So this is where we always recommend using Grab or Bolt as they're tracked. If you are in a location where they do not have Grab or Bolt available, get to know your local drivers. Your landlord would probably suggest somebody, and get to use the same person, maybe get their line so you know this person. They'll always be there for you. You can get to know them, and you know you have a connection transport wise in the town as well. To do with transport, as you know, every year in Thailand there's many deaths from road accidents. A sizable amount of these are from alcohol related reasons. So once again, always be careful, whether a pedestrian or a driver or being driven by somebody else. Just a reminder. And there are also many parties and events during holiday season, which occasionally assaults and pickpocketing occurs. The Thailand used to be known as a bit of a pickpocketing destination. That is not so much the case anymore, but always be careful, particularly in markets. I'm sure people have already told you this. Markets tend to be where this occurs, as it's such a close proximity to all the other customers and everybody squishing through, which you've seen. So just have your awareness about you while you are in a market. So starting with travel and transport. Things to remember when you are traveling out and about, whether it be on foot or in transport. Always stick to the well-lit routes when walking at night. I always use a comparative situation for me personally. So I'm from Australia. Australia doesn't have as much of a population. Australia at nighttime doesn't have much of a nightlife at all. So in Thailand, I generally feel safer because it is well lit and there are people about. But that doesn't mean it always is. So whether you're using comparative thinking like I am, or whether you just feel like you've always been safe to walk around at night, it is a foreign place, foreign country, or if you move around, a foreign city. So always do be careful when walking around at nighttime. You can see people from distances and everything like that. Walk with a friend or as a group. I'm sure you'll be enjoying your free time when you're out and about. So make sure that you go together. Don't be the person who's left behind. When entering a taxi, text a friend. You can always use the share my ride on the Grab app as well. You can just press one button and it sends it to one of the top, your top text friends that you always you communicate with the most. So you can use this whenever you have your doubts about yourself or you're somewhere new. Don't feel afraid to use this feature on Grab. You can share your ride. Also, when entering a taxi, something that many Thais do is just take a photo of the driver's license ID. I know you can't always get a Grab or a Bolt, but if you are in Bangkok, they have their driver's ID at the front. Or if you are having any troubles, you can always call someone or even start recording can always help you as well. Always having your communication device on you that has credit, a portable charger, so you plan your day accordingly. I know when I'm heading out to Bangkok and I won't be home for a while, I have my portable charger. I bring my phone cord as well with the plug. When it starts to run out, I'll sit in a cafe and have a meal and charge it while I'm there. So later when I need to get home, I always have the map to follow the driver to make sure they might not be ripping me off, taking me a longer route, or just for my general curiosity or awareness, I like to follow on the map. So something that you can have for logistic wise and also just emergency wise. Always good to be able to be connected. Entertainment wise, you can talk to friends as well, or you're stuck in traffic. So many reasons to be connected and contactable whilst you're out and about in any kind of travel transport in Thailand. Also, there will become some altercations at some time where the driver is trying to charge you more and trying to explain something that maybe might get a bit confused. He may have good intentions as well, but try to refrain from arguments, stay calm. As John has mentioned, Thai people are very kind until they snap if they're confronted too much. So they don't know how to save face any longer than they can. And not just Thai people, other tourists as well. So just keep calm and avoid arguments, especially with tuk-tuks and motor taxis, buses as well. Yeah. Another slide of travel and transport. So just to be aware of your surroundings. This is another reason why I like to follow with a map. More out of curiosity. I like to know where they're taking me. I like to see tourist attractions that are along this path. If I come back, I can come see it. But it gives me a sense of support as well, just knowing where I'm at. So I do suggest to follow with the map, therefore have your phone being charged enough, being able to follow along. Also, be careful on the roads, whether you're walking, bicycle riding, scooter riding. Keep your head on a swivel, not just for other transport means around you, but people around you. I might be extra cautious, but sometimes I just like to cross the street if there is someone walking behind me, so I don't have to keep looking around. You can see them in my peripheral. It just gives me peace of mind. Not that I have personally ever had anything bad happen in Thailand, but it makes me feel comfortable. So keeping your head on a swivel just to know where the transport's at, where the people are as well. If it's nighttime, and there might be a dog. I'm sure you've noticed at nighttime, the dogs like to check people out. They have a new personality at nighttime, territorial. So just having your wits about yourself. Drink responsibly, and on no occasion should you drink drive, even on a bicycle. When driving a scooter, always wear a helmet, fasten your chin strap, wear your seatbelt. If you don't have a chin strap, you should organize some form of your own helmet, or maybe not get on that Grab. Always better to be safe than sorry. And I know insurance for every single one of you includes obeying the laws of the country, which means that you must wear the helmet. If anything were to happen, you're not covered if you don't. So please remember to wear that helmet. And visa runs in neighboring countries come with their own cautions. They are same but different, but I would say that Thailand is probably the safest among them. It's also the wealthiest among them. So if you had to visa run in Vietnam, the traffic is a whole new ideal. If you had to visa run in Cambodia, you need to be far more careful of pickpocketing or bag snatching. So just some things to be aware of from an expat perspective. Pibang, if you're in the call, would you like to say anything more about travel and transport from a local perspective in Thailand?
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute, right?
Yeah, you're here now.
Okay, so did you guys have any other questions about anything after Jasmine's any other advice in terms of safety advice?
Hi, I think Jeanette needs to be let into the meeting. She just texted
Oh.
saying, yeah.
Okay. I'll just stop sharing my screen so I can let her in.
ใช่ค่ะ Hi, Kali. Okay, so Janet just already here, right?
I tell her almost. Yeah. Ryan's with me too.
Great. Any questions based on the transport and traveling around Thailand? Any questions on safety at all?
Yeah, I kind of have a question. So I'm in Nakhon Chai Si, and I just like walked around a bit today, and I noticed like there weren't many people on foot, and I talked to some people at like a cafe, and they said they're just not used to tourists. But I'm just curious, like, is it safe to just like walk around if there's no one else really walking?
Oh, is it during the day?
Yes.
Okay, it's totally safe. Normally, like I would say that it's actually in Thailand, it's pretty considered like very, I'm not sure like to say like, oh, very safe. It's going to be making you feel like, oh, it's just over promoting Thailand, but it's very safe to me. Like I personally think that I feel like I can walk alone in anywhere, but except that in the area that is maybe like if you feel like it's just like a, what you call a corner or the place that is it's in anywhere in any world anywhere in the world, right? So it's better to be on the safe side, to not be in the place that like look like you could have be robbery or anything that could happen to you. So if it's just on the side of the street and it's just like open space, right? It should be fine.
Just to add to that as well, out of my Thai friends, Thai people don't generally like to walk. I know that's super stereotypically typical, but I guess in colder countries, it's more of a routine to go for a walk because it's not so stiflingly hot and we don't care too much about the sun. Stereotypes once again. But a lot of my Thai friends just don't like walking. It's too hot and uncomfortable. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't walk. Absolutely, you can walk and no one will look at you strange. It's just they don't feel like walking.
Right. It should be safe, but at the same time, I think that because we, especially women, I think for us, we should also be cautious on the things around you. You know what happened? It's kind of like what you call like a basic like a fundamental things to go any places, right? Because if you just walk anywhere, even if it's like crowded or like no people, you always have to look around and see if anything going on. Be like always on like be mindful and be like conscious on whatever like wherever you go. That would be the suggestion. But in general, the walking on the street is very safe, but just be careful like in the very big crowded city. Sometimes walking on the street could be you know, like you have to be careful on like the motorbike and stuff around you.
More so if you do a visa run in a surrounding country, I'd be very careful of the motorbikes around you in city like Phnom Penh in Cambodia. Thailand, not so much, but always just keep it in mind. Better to be safe than sorry. I would like to share my screen again for the next section, which is based on nightlife. So if you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. So nightlife, maybe you haven't had time to experience too much nightlife yet, but I'm sure you will with your 26 public holidays coming up and those big long breaks. So when you are out and about, like John mentioned, it's actually legally required for you to carry your passport everywhere that you go. Not that that's a great idea and not that every tourist does it, but it's a great idea to carry a photocopy of your passport for in case you ever needed it, or at the very least have a photo of it on your phone, but make sure you don't lose your phone and your phone does have credit and does have battery life left on it. Refrain from walking around outside or in a vehicle with open alcohol beverages. It's just a target sign. If you're walking down the street with an open alcohol beverage and the police might be feeling like getting somebody, even if it is legal in that area, but mostly it's not so much. And on transport like Songthails, as you know, it's not legal. It can result in a fine or unwanted attention or time with police or in the police station. Police in Thailand may occasionally stop you and ask to see your passport or may even try to solicit a bribe. Be polite and respectful, but also ask for their names and to see their badges if they're in plain clothes. If they request a bribe to get you out of a ticket or some other infraction, and you do not feel like you did anything wrong. If you are in a group, you may want to request to go to the station, and this will usually deter them from continuing with the bribe or solicitation. This can happen often, particularly at night. Once again, if you're around late, in the islands at ferry ports, they like to just, they'll have a goal, maybe checking tourists who have overstayed their visa, checking what tourists are actually doing there, if they're involved in any kind of illegal activity or like absolutely anything at all. They may just ask to see your passport. Sometimes they can be a little intimidating and they often don't speak much English. So just do be polite, patient. They may want to get you a little bit ruffled, so you do just want to pay them money to leave quickly, but just take your time. Don't get aggressive or anything like that, and use these tips if they do approach you for these kinds of incidences. They are rare, but they can happen, and they have happened to me in the past as well. I got pulled over in a taxi in Bangkok. The police asked what I'm doing here. They asked my Thai friend if he has drugs. They searched him. They took my bags in all different directions. They went through each page of my passport, asking me why I'm here. And we just remained calm and we said why I was here, and they searched things. They didn't find anything and they let us go. There was no bribe intended. They weren't too aggressive, but it's an aggressive feeling situation, especially for a foreigner, when they can't speak too much English and everything like that. So just something to be aware of that can happen in Thailand. Also nightlife. Most importantly, never put yourself in a position where your drink could be spiked by a stranger by leaving your drink unattended. You wouldn't do that at home anyway. So when you go to a bar or a nightclub, make sure that you are in charge of your drink, or you give it to your friend that is alert and trustworthy to be in charge of your drink. If you need to use the bathroom, if you get a bottle of beer in a nightclub or a bar, make sure that you can see the person remove the cap. Also, if you're at a full moon party, be careful of your buckets. If you've got them behind you, it's such a large circumference. Once again, happens very rarely. I don't personally know anybody that this kind of thing has happened to, but it happens all over the world. So something to be aware of, even though it's a good party culture in Thailand, and everybody's a bit free-spirited in the moment. Just still be careful of your drink, just the same as you would be back at home. They don't quite have the drunk person security level that will get kicked out of a club. And when you're out in a group, try to never leave your friends alone at a night spot as well. Or if you're the person who's maybe just drinking water for the night or something, and you notice somebody paying extra attention to your friend, and they don't know them or it looks suspicious, just alert your friends and share what's going on. And just so like everybody's safe and you won't leave them behind or anything like that. Pibang, would you like to add anything to general nightlife in Thailand?
Hello, yeah. I think you cover most of everything. I think that it's something that we always have to be mindful, right? All the time. If you wanted to hang out at night, it's like you said about the phone, the communication. Like you should be able to make sure that if any emergency, you have like the device that you can reach out to friends or people or any emergency.
Yeah, I just want to say something about drink spiking. If you worry about your drink, always check that it tastes like it should. Taste is a very important thing because a lot of times, if it's spiked, it'll taste different or funny. So always check with a sip what it tastes like. That it tastes like it should.
That's a good tip. In Thailand, though, if you are getting very cheap drinks, they tend to use a rice-based liqueur. It is vodka, it is gin, it's nothing harmful or anything like that, but it's based on rice when in Western culture, I guess a lot of ours is based on potatoes, like vodka in our countries. If you are paying 400 to 500 baht, you are drinking a brand like Smirnoff or Absolute. If you are paying 100 baht, you're drinking a local brand. There's nothing wrong with that, but it can taste a little different and it definitely affects your body a little differently. I find that a bad vodka in Western culture will have a horrible taste when a bad rice wine maybe won't have so much of a bad taste. And they do love their sugar here, so it's covered up a little better. So be careful, regardless, spiked or not, be careful of the alcohol here. It treats your body differently because you're not used to a rice-based spirit back at home.
Yeah, I was just talking in general. If you're paying for known brands like Smirnoff or Jack
Yeah,
Daniels, they should taste like they taste at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody have any questions on nightlife in Thailand? Partying? Okay, I'm just going to share my screen again for the final section, and we'll get into a little bit of the Q&A for anything that you would like as well. Hey, can everybody see my screen? Sorry to keep asking.
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you so much. So general awareness and safety. When you are at your school or even when you're here in Hua Hin, because the neighbors really like to get to know you here in Hua Hin, but when you're at your school, get to know your neighbors. For me personally, when I moved to Hua Hin, my neighbors can't speak any English at all, but one day I got sick and they could hear me coughing through the house, and they brought me medicine, and they were really, they wanted to make sure that I was okay. So it was a really lovely feeling beyond just like feeling more safe. I felt like connected to my neighbors. I bring them tomatoes, they'll bring me morning glory, the vegetable. So get to know your neighbors, not just like a good feeling of being a part of the community, but it is a good safety feeling as well. In the evening, if you've noticed, in Thailand, everybody seems to have a big gate or a big fence around their house. A lot of windows have the bars in every section of the house. This is because Thailand used to have a little bit of a problem with thieving, not so much anymore, but it's also a good idea to lock your gate, lock your doors, your windows before you go to sleep. Just a bit of extra security, you never know. Also, never let a stranger lead you away or in another location other than what you've intended. Recently, my friends went to a full moon party in Copenhagen, and they were told that there was a better party on an island, but they have to get on a longtail boat and go to this island. So one of my friends decided that doesn't sound right, so she didn't get on the boat. But a few of my other friends got on the boat, and this person took them to an island. There was no party. It didn't do anything to them, but they were stuck on that island until the sun came up. So if something just doesn't sound right, or it's just not worth it, like you go to a full moon party for a full moon party, right? You're at the full moon party and someone tells you there's a better party, but you know you're at the full moon party, just doesn't sound right. So use your common sense. Don't follow this person into another location. It may be a little weird or very weird. Who knows what's going to happen, but you'll get that feeling. I can hear that somebody is trying to get in. One moment. Okay, and we're back. Yeah, so never let anybody lead you down a dark alleyway, even if it's someone you've been flirting with or wherever it may be. Thai people in particular are very respectful. If they are wanting to flirt with you or it's another local, they might want to actually take you out, not take you down a dark alleyway. It's definitely suspicious for Thai culture. When you go out, if you decide to wear valuable jewelry when riding motorbikes, standing and sitting in the back of a songtail, keep your jewelry tucked inside your clothing, or better yet, I wouldn't wear anything too valuable here on a crazy night out, or even like a full moon party. Maybe if you're going to a nice dinner, that kind of thing, keep it tucked in. But in general, just keep it safe. You know how safe you would like to keep it if it's that valuable and everything like that. Never underestimate the power of the Thai sun. When you go out, make sure you're wearing sunscreen to protect your skin. Don't forget your feet. I know so many people who have had 3rd-degree burns on their feet from walking around on the islands, and they just forgot to do the tops of their feet, or the water washed it off. So another little piece of advice: always keep hydrated. Bottled water, refilled stations are extremely cheap in Thailand. You can purchase practice everywhere. And lastly, we are coming into wet season. It kind of came a bit early this week. I'm sure wherever you are in Thailand, it's a little bit wet at the moment. I know Thailand sometimes can have a reputation of malaria. Honestly, this is from the very poor northern regions that have limited access to medical care, like hill tribe regions of Thailand, that this reputation has come from. It's a little bit outdated as well. So it's still in this region, but not as much as dengue. So in general, you don't want to get bitten by mosquitoes for a number of reasons. I know a lot of people who have had dengue fever, and it will be more prevalent when it is wet season. So take precautions, wear your bug spray, coat it on like you're spraying a spray paint. Know which one works for you, and if nothing's working for you, maybe just wear loose fitting clothing to help you out as well. And the symptoms for dengue can be quite like COVID: feeling lethargic, maybe a fever, sore body parts. So whether COVID, not COVID, or you're just not feeling well, always go to the hospital or the clinic if you do feel unwell for any reason. Sometimes it can take a few tests to figure out for what reason, especially because everybody's just assuming it's COVID in this day and age. But do get checked out just for the season that's coming up as well. Pipeng, would you like to add anything from a local perspective?
No, I think you cover many good things. Unless any of you have any questions? If so, I would maybe just say about
Any
like
questions about anything at all?
Well, we missed the first few minutes. Is there anything important that we should really know about the first few minutes that we missed?
It's recorded, so I'll be sending it to everybody.
Perfect, thank you.
I think if I would like to add just something about like female safety, it just would be the, like because the culture things, we have cultural differences. So I think it's the weather and stuff like would be for female, like for the weather, like everyone wanted to have the lightest dress or outfits that possible, because it's so hot and humid, right? And for that, it just something that is quite common for the resort or like a touristy area like Hua Hin, where like it's a beach town, so everyone just wear something light and very like a what you call like a beach kind of outfit. But when you go out and about in places like in other areas, in maybe the where you're gonna be go place, or where currently you are in a placement location, it might be a little bit more conservative and stuff. So if in terms of like the what you call like the locals, so the way the local will react and see it's something that we don't think that it's we should like be too worry or not having a good time with like a very things that you wanted to wear and stuff, but it has to be also good to be aware of what other people, like a local people, think in terms of the appropriateness of the dress and stuff as well. So in order to make people feel like, oh, you understand the culture and you respect the community, it's also important for that, because in the same time it's also related towards female safety in terms of in my personal experience.
Yeah.
So to be able to to be on the safe side, it's better to not like kind of like make it to what you call outstanding coming to people, local people, if you understand what I mean.
This ties in very well with what John has mentioned to you in some of the classes about Thailand being a collectivist society rather than an individualistic society like we are back at home, and also about keeping the harmony. I have a friend who works in a province that's not a tourist province, and she likes to wear the crop top with the tight leggings to the gym, and one of her female co-workers implied for a while that that's not what you should be wearing, and then really snapped at her one day because she felt like something bad was going to happen to her, just because that's the culture of the town. Not so much that bad things happen to people who wear those things, it's just something your mum and dad tell you growing up. I guess maybe a little bit old-fashioned, or just sliding in with the collectivist society, keeping the harmony, not wanting to stray and be too individualistic. But there is an element, if you are going to somewhere that's not a tourist town, of sliding into the community as well, to be the safest that you can be, and have that protection around you of other Thai people who see you as wanting to fit into the society, I guess, and protect you. So you may come across this when it comes to what to wear, I guess, in those more rural areas. John, would you like to add anything?
Yeah. Okay. I've got a bit of an echo here. Bang, could you mute yourself? Thanks. I've had a few conversations with people over the past few days and weeks about multiple things, and I think one of the most common things that has come out has been almost a hesitancy to contact us or contact someone else in situations where they're kind of feeling uneasy. I know we've spoken about it before, like earlier on in this presentation, but like just having a phone and being on the phone with someone can often be like enough of a deterrent for someone to not go ahead with what they're doing. I don't know if this person is here in this meeting right now, but I had a conversation with someone today about they were on their way to placement, and they got to a bus stop, and they were met by someone who said there were no buses, and you know, that they should go in a cab and go to this bus station, which turned out to be completely false. And you know, I think that the one thing that I would like to kind of just be clear with everyone who's here right now, and people who listen to this in the future, is if you're ever in a situation, regardless of the time, and you're not feeling 100% safe about it or unsure about it, please call one of us, and we would say to you, hell no, stay there, we'll sort this out. Or we'll say, yeah, it's fine, it's normal, you know, whatever it is. But let us give you our perspective. If you're ever unclear or unsure, please call us. Just make sure you've got your phone, and like having I mean, I have a ridiculously huge one because I don't know, it's like a massive brick, right? But get one of the power banks that most people have here, and always have it charged up, put that in your bag. So you know, as foreigners, as guests in this country, like we have to have our phone all the time. We have to have a data plan, because you never know when we're going to need it, and sometimes that can get us out of a situation, at least just to call us. But that's all I would say. Everything else is spot on.
And just to add again on your phone and keeping it charged when you go places, if you're catching vans, some of the vans will have charging ports underneath the seat that no one will tell you about. You just kind of have to figure it out. But you can ask at the station if this van that you're booking the ticket for has a charging station under the seat, so you can plan okay, if it doesn't have the charge there, then when I get off, I'm going to stop at a cafe and have a coffee and charge for half an hour so I can continue my day and I'll be connected. Also, the overnight train traveling around Thailand, there is one that's a little bit more expensive than the other one. It's probably about 100 baht difference. If you ever catch the overnight train, the 100 baht difference is an outlet for everybody. And the 100 baht cheaper train is the older version of the train, which has one outlet in the carriage for the whole carriage. So it's just little things to consider while you are traveling around to keep that phone, keep everything charged so you do have that connection. Does anyone have any other questions? Yep.
And one more tip to say, it's not like it's very tradition manually thing. If you see that your phone is actually, if you have the trip or you feel like the phone is about to die, please write down at least 3 phone numbers that maybe you need before it die, you know. It would at least help. Or maybe you should have like emergency contact. I know that you have the card of each of us, if each of our XploreAsia staff, but just in case if you don't have that with you, and if you see that your phone about to die, at least write a friend that you think that you can contact, or us at XploreAsia that you think that it will be the person who you can call for emergency.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions about
Yeah,
absolutely
I
anything?
have one.
Yeah.
In America, it's very, very common to like carry around pepper spray with you for safety. I don't know if that's a thing here, but just like out of curiosity, like, are there anything like to keep you safe, like physically, that you should have?
Pepper spray is illegal here.
Oh, is it really?
So
Wow, I figured it would be.
But it's also because it's not needed as much.
Yeah.
Statistically, even it's never even really come up in political issues locally or provincial that we should start allowing this, because it's not needed as much. I would say your camera on your phone is one of the biggest weapons you can have. Even if somebody is yelling at you in Thai, you just start recording and they'll usually back down a bit, or being connected. Connection is one of the best tools, but also being in a crowd of people. One of the beauties about Thailand is that nightlife is usually busy, at least compared to some of the places we're from. So don't go off anywhere by yourself, and you should find yourself with less chance of any kind of confrontation. But it is generally a safe country. But as it comes to pepper spray or weapons or anything, I wouldn't suggest anything. How about as a local P-Bang?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
just
then-
like many people ask about the pepper spray, and yeah, it's not it's illegal, and I think it could be also turned into the weapon against you as well. You know what I mean? If you are like someone who's stronger than you, it could become another story. So
yeah. And then my other question would be like, you suggest only to get like grabs rather than like any taxi off the street?
I would recommend Grab more because it's tracked. Or Bolt are one of those tracked ones. But I personally catch a taxi as long as it looks like a taxi. I get in, it's got a meter, it's got the guy's photograph with his taxi number, and it's in a place that has taxis. Like Hue Hin, it doesn't have taxis. Bangkok has taxis everywhere. So it's just a culture of Bangkok. If I saw a taxi in Hue Hin, I would think that somebody, at best case scenario, has ordered this all the way from Bangkok, and now they want a fare to get back. That's me thinking in a good manner, but I just don't see it often, so I would kind of avoid it. And I know that I can get a Grab here. If it was really late, I would plan ahead and make sure someone was with me, just honestly because I don't like the dog situation at nighttime around here if I had to get home and walk. But yeah, just planning ahead, getting to know your area first before you take these risky nights out where you have to find a way home from scratch with not knowing what to do at all at 3 a.m. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Siobhan, did you have a question?
I did, but I typed it because sometimes my signal freaks out. So it was basically just if the pepper spray is a no-go, I assume pretty much most self-defense weapons are also a no-go.
absolutely, it kind of gets worse from then on, where in the case that if you used a taser or a knife or whatnot as a weapon, then you will be in big trouble, because they're not legal as a self-defense means here. Because they're not statistically, once again, they're not needed.
Maybe the best way is just to practice Muay Thai, I guess, like to be like martial arts will be helpful. And some people mentioned that like to another way that if you wanted to be safe, like if you feel like, okay, even though we said it's you likely to be safe here, and you wouldn't likely to be at risk if you know like put yourself in situation that the trying to be avoiding the risk. But could be like maybe whistle. Some people just like, you know, carry like whistle. So that way it helps when you need to have the attention and it's not, you know, going to be harmful to you.
Yeah, make loud noises. So whistle's always good.
Mm.
Also CCTV in the cities in Thailand is fantastic. They catch people for crimes that they didn't even think that they could ever possibly get caught for. So if you're in the city areas, if you stick to the main drag, don't go off the beaten track into the alleyways for a shortcut, at least you've got that CCTV backup as well. If somebody comes and is weird around you and you just wanted to report it so they're not weird to anybody else, the CCTV should show that this person pulled over and did something weird or, yeah. Any other questions?
I have a question about the bank accounts. So is there, like, I know in the US, there's always a minimum that you're supposed to have in your bank account, or say you like have no money, there's like overdraft fees and stuff like that. Is that a thing here?
If you leave Thailand and you have less than 500 baht in your account and you don't touch your account for a year, they may just cancel your account. But if it's over 500 baht or even under 500 baht, you can always request to have a power of attorney. If you had to go home, someone in your family was sick and then you just can't return anytime soon, you can do power of attorney to be able to get your money back. Overdraft fees, I mean, nothing you will be doing should cause that. You can't really go into a minus with the kind of account that you have, either using it in a credit kind of way. So you shouldn't need to worry about those situations.
So for example, like if I use all my money to pay the rent and stuff, will that be an issue if I have like a zero baht balance?
It would be an issue if you left it like that for a year, but it won't be an issue if it's just for a little while.
Perfect, thank you.
No worries. I do have something in the chat box. Yeah, a tourist passed out on the side of the road and a taxi driver stole his belongings. CCTV caught him, the taxi driver. Yeah, I mean, if you have TikTok, you'll see CCTV, Thailand, TikTok, everywhere of interesting things going on, but they do have quite a good system in city areas, safety-wise. Any other questions? If you're feeling worried about anything, we really wanted to set up this webinar so you are feeling more comfortable about safety in a foreign place. I mean, even the safest country can feel unsafe when you've never been there before. So we want you to all feel comfortable. So anything at all. Okay, well, if you ever do need to contact anyone from XploreAsia, like John said, please reach out anytime. We don't want you to guess something like someone telling you something's cancelled and it's not. Just shout out to us and we're able to help you out from our experience locally and from an expat experience also, with anything that you need at all. This is recorded, so we'll send it out to everybody, and we hope that this session helped in more than one way, we hope. But thank you for attending, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to
Bye,
say,
you guys.
if anyone want to have any personal discussion, just let us know, okay? If any questions that you want to talk to me or Jasmine individually, please do contact us.
ค่ะ
Bye
Yeah,
bye.
stay safe.
Thank you.
Afternoon
Bye.
crab. Yeah.